But no, but defense or just
You can't go in.
no. But I saw the pictures of them.
Wow.
How are you? Boah, da kann du, da will man nicht schon. Rein, okay.
First of all, was the mazel tov for you.
Happy birthday. Yes. Whose birthday? The rapper. Tonight?
Yeah. James will be able to celebrate in
Mitzvah Hashem. In Yerushalayim Yid HaKodesh, yes.
Oh, what are you?
there is the stuff order from the government from the city.
What?
Because people in the building talking too much.
I mean,
People in the building? So what do they have?
People in the building because
passive.
they put the stuff up. Jealous.
Just learning. So you go see fighting the order or going to go?
It takes some time to take over the
L'chaim. Amen.
בכל העניינים.
Amen. Chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shehakol mi b'dvori. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'yedei min ha'mazonos.
We want to know what happened at Teves.
Yeah, of course, yes.
So, Siddim, from the days of the Baal Shem Tov, a Chassid used to go to a Rebbe. Siddim used to travel. People used to go by foot, would travel for weeks. They'd walk to the Rebbe. Why would they walk so far to be by a Rebbe? You can learn the Torah. You can learn. You can have an app. You can have an app on your phone, and you could learn all the Torah from all the tzaddikim. They didn't have a cell phone. Printed Svarim. Chabad Chassidim. We know that the Mittler Rebbe made a takona that whenever the Chassidim would travel back home, they would have to repeat and tell over all the Chassidus that he said. The Rebbe told over many times the story about a Chassid that complained to the Mittler Rebbe when he comes from town to town and he tells over the Chassidus. He was able to explain it really well, and when people come and listen, he'd feel gaiva. So maybe he should stop doing it. And the Mittler Rebbe said that Tzibula soll from the Verne, but Chassidus soll stachazene. You know what a tzibula is?
Onion.
An onion. An onion smells bad. It could taste. It tastes pretty good. If you fry an onion, it smells good. It smells really good. But raw onion, so the way the Mittler was saying, it's like a balgaiva. So better to stink from you, but you should say the chassidus. Very important lesson on its own. You know, sometimes we're thinking too much about ourselves. Now, honor about balgaiva. What do you care about your honor about balgaiva? Right now, you have to do what you need to do. You got to do what you need to do. Who cares? Okay. Yeah, balgaiva. Nicht balgaiva. Anyway, so Siddim for here Chassidus from they get on the way back. Why did they go? Why did they go to Tzaddik? Because from the days of the Baal Shem Tov, there's a new way in Avodas Hashem. Chassid goes to Tzaddik because he wants to see Achdus Hashem. Achdus Hashem. That's why Yid is going to Tzaddik. Tzaddik is Avodas Hashem is imbued with Achdus Hashem, and the Yid wants to come. He wants to feel it. He wants to see it. He wants to feel Achdus Hashem. So I'm coming back from the oil. I stopped in for nights. I stopped by Fabrengen. So someone was telling us a story from Rabbi Levi. Rabbi Levi started a company.
Okay.
Yeah, called the OK Kosher. So years ago, there was a company that was producing stuff in the Philippines, and they asked if he can come to give a hechsher on the company. So where he asked the Rebbe advice if he should go to the Philippines many, many, many years ago. So the Rebbe told him it's a good idea, you should go. And the Rebbe gave him $180. He should give to the community, the local Jewish community. So he came to Manila and he went straight to the factory. He could see right away it's not shaykh. They're processing chazer in one side and this on the other side. It wasn't. It was not shaykh. Yeah, not shaykh. He's going to give hechsher. He, in 1 second, could see that it was just a waste of his time. Okay, so he asks the owner of the factory, "Is there a Jewish community here?" So he says he wants to share. He wants to.
No, he wanted to.
So he says, "Yeah, my brother is the president of the Jewish community." Oh, sure. He makes the connection.
He himself was Jewish.
Yeah, it turns out he was Jewish. Didn't realize. Okay, makes the connection. So he decides he'll go there for Shabbos. Post Shabbos. There's no mechitza. I daven the shul with no mechitza. Well, he comes in, he says Shalom Aleichem, and he leaves. He goes to the hotel to daven the hotel. Afterwards, he calls the president of the community, and he wants to meet with him. And the president said, "You came." You said hello. We went out there for the prayers. So he said, "I want to tell you a story. There was a European Jew. He moved somewhere, Wyoming, Bozeman, Montana. Coming to Bozeman, Montana, and there's only one temple in the town. Okay, he comes. He wants to go to a shul.
There's a house there.
Now, talking about 1952, so or maybe 1835. So he comes. So they come to shul. They go, "You want to be a member? They give him a paper. You got to fill out your information." Okay, takes a paper. He fills out all the information, and he hands it into the secretary. So, but they're not interested in having a guy like this come into the shul. A religious guy is going to start giving them dayas about, he's going to soon he's going to think he could tell them they have to eat kosher too. So, so they never called him back. He was insulted. And a few weeks later, he sees the president in the shul, and he walks over. He says, "Shalom Aleichem." He said, "Last night I had a dream, unbelievable dream. In the dream, I saw God Himself, and I said to God, it's not fair. I came to Bozeman, Montana. There's only one Jewish congregation. I applied for membership, and they won't let me in. I'm really upset." So God said, "Don't worry about it. Don't be upset. They don't let me in also." So Rabbi Levi said, we want to make sure that God enters the Jewish community. It has to be that God feels welcome. And a Jewish community has to have a mechitza. Because there's no mechitza, I can't pray. Or the Gedolei Yisrael said that you can't pray in a shul if there's no mechitza. Yeah, this is only going to work a place like Manila, the Philippines. It's not going to work. You go to a Reformed temple in the United States of America. Oh yeah, Rabbi. Oh yeah. So how do we do it? What do we do? So he said, "I have $180. Way back in the day, $180 was not just for a slice of pizza. $180 actually was money. So I have $180 from Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he sent the $180 for the Jewish community. Let use the money to build a mechitza. Get a craftsman. Explain to him how you're supposed to build a mechitza, and the men are on one side, the women on the other side." Oh, very nice, very nice. And Rabbi, you're here, so why don't you stay here a little bit? and we're gonna get the mechitza, and we can make an event. The community members will come, and he'll explain about the mechitza, and very nice. Kachava, he stayed a few more days, and the community came together. And when the community came together, he spoke for the community. Afterwards, a young man came over, and he originally his family's from Borough Park, but he was studying medicine and he couldn't get into whatever he got into university in Manila. And Rabbi so Betel Levy is talking to him, and he finds out that he's engaged. Oh, very nice. A nice Jewish girl. He said, yes, she's a very nice girl, but she's not Jewish. She's not Jewish. So he he stayed longer, and he was makad of the bocher until the bocher broke up with the girl. And when he came back to America, he realized that even though the Rebbe Baruch Kocher probably knew that he has no business in the Philippines at the Hashgocha, so that's why the Rebbe gave him $180, because the Rebbe realized that his Vayar Yosef, the Yaakov saw that Yeshever b'Mitzrayim, there's Epis Netzutzas Gedusha. He saw there's Epis, the Rebbe saw that there's some business, there's business to do. But they never realized that the business was not in the Ashgocha business. Exactly, a different type of Ashgocha.
Yaakov was an expert on mitzvahs.
Yes, exactly. And every tzaddik is nitzutze shel Yaakov Avinu. It's called Nasi Del Shetayve. Nitzutze shel Yaakov Avinu. That's really why Chassidim went to a Rebbe. Chassidim went to a Rebbe in order to see Achdus Hashem. They didn't go to a Rebbe to hear Nu Chidush Torah. They didn't go to a Rebbe for Oisis and Moifsim. They didn't go to a Rebbe for Shur and Chabad. The whole thing was Oisis and Moifsim Befare. That Pare needs Oisis and Moifsim. That wasn't the reason they went. They didn't go. It wasn't a Nissim machine. They went for one reason. They went to a tzaddik for one reason, and that is to connect to Achdus Hashem. And that's really why Neshama comes to this world. Neshama comes into this world for one reason, to have all kinds of nisyonis, to stand strong, that there's only Achdus Hashem. That's really, there's nothing else. There's no other reason why Neshama comes to this world. Well, I'm looking for a little paper out of my pocket. Last night, I lost a piece of paper. Last night, it's my Yom and it's Nittelnacht. Can't learn. It's like, what can you do? You learn till like chess. So I went to visit Bobby, my grandmother, and she's Baruch Hashem. She's not a young woman. So
Close to 120.
no, that's not 120, but she's getting there. That's Shemi's Baruch. So I was talking to her about her childhood. It was a very choshev yeshiva in that city. She grew up in the city called Homil, the city where the Isaac Homler was the Rav. But the Russians, they can't say Homil, they say Gomil. Gomil, right?
It's Belarus. It's not Russia.
Yes, Belarus, in Gomil. So it was a very choshev yeshiva. From the Bali Musar, the Vardak, yeah. So I was there for a while in the city of Gomel, and lately I saw a picture in one of the Haredi magazines, a picture of the yeshiva and a picture of the city of Gomel, and the city looks really. It's not like such a backward city. The nice buildings, the marketplace looks like a nice European city. I said, Bubby, I always thought you lived in some backwards place, with fiddlers on the roof. But I see from the pictures that it's actually, a normal place. She said, yeah, what are you talking about? It's a very beautiful city. It's 50,000 Jews. I said, so what happened with all the Eden? Where are all those Jews? She says, you don't understand. You cannot imagine. You cannot imagine the unbelievable nisyonis, the pachad that people had from the pachad movis. She says, mamish, people would walk and they were scared of their own shadow. The truth, when they saw their shadow move, they had a pachad. She says, she said, and then this is the word I was looking for. I wrote a nice, juicy Russian word, but and I can't remember it. Um, so she said that the ones, it was Friday night, and her mother already lit the Shabbos candles, and one of the neighbors came in. One of the neighbors came in, right? Jewish woman. Oh. Jewish woman. It's a city. It was Molly Begoda Shutin. It was a yeshiva.
For the Holocaust or after?
Huh?
That's before the Holocaust or after?
Before.
Oh,
A short time before.
uh-huh.
And but the Jews, unfortunately, none of them. There was no yeshivas left by then. Nothing. And she said, Mariasha, what? You light Shabbos candles? I thought you're a worldly woman. I thought you're a forward-thinking person, and that you do these, yeah, stuff. Superstition. It's a word in Russian. Like I thought you were forward, like yeah. Weltliche Mensch. My grandmother said for a few months we were living in Fachad Movis, that this lady would not go to the KGB and say that we're lighting Shabbos candle. She says you can't imagine how difficult the Nisoyan was. This is talking about. I'm talking about early 19, maybe the story happened 1928, 29, 30, 1931. So yeah, and I said, and she was describing that her father didn't want her to go to public school because the worst thing in the world would be that the girls would go to public school because that's where they teach them kfida. But it was illegal. You can't not send your kids to school. So he bought them, like briefcases. They looked like they go to school. And every day they would walk out of the house, bidiyuk on time. And she said, we'd walk far. We'd walk out of the city over a long bridge to another town outside the city, a little town. And we had a Baba Henya there who was never blind. And we used to go to her house and we used to stay in her house all day. And then we'd walk back home when all the kids are coming back from school. We'd walk back and it looked like so no one knows it's a big city. There's a lot of schools. Whatever they're going to they're enrolled in some other school. They're going to the other school. So I said, Bobby, what happened with all those people? That lady that came to your mother. She said, was geblieben von sie garnished. Von alle sie geblieben garnished. It's taka true. I eat that. Eat this halts on batoira mitzvah. Something stays from them. Nicht. Well, it's not zero. But where do they have the koyach? There was yeshivas, there were Rosh yeshivas, there were rabbonim, there were shuls. A city full with Yidden. Here, where does it come, the koyach for a woman and a few daughters? Her husband was taken away and was killed al Kiddush Hashem. Where does she have the koyach? That koyach comes from a tzaddik. Because they were zugebunden tzaddik, so Mela they had the koyach to stand up to such unbelievable nisyonis. That's why from the days of the Mashiach till today, that's the Inyan, the connection to Tzaddik. Where Yid gets the koyach to stand up to the Nisyonis, and Yid sees with his eyes Achtus Hashem. And that's the Inyan of Teves. Teves was really it was something a challenge against Lubavitcher Rebbe. Essentially, that's what it was, and Teves is yeah. The truth is, it has even a little bit of a deeper nakuda, because what happened was that Rebbe felt that what happened was that manuscripts were stolen from the Rebbe's library, and it was a grandson of the Rebbe's. And he said it's a Yerusha. The Rebbe said there's no such thing. There's not a Yerusha. That the Rebbe and everything that belongs to him belongs to his Hasidim. So they wanted to go to the Torah, and they refused to go to the Torah, and they violated the yes, and and
Took a lot of stuff already at that point.
yeah, everything came back at the end. So what were the odds that so they had no choice. They had to go to police to stop. The guy was still selling the stuff. So they went to Bezen and made a head to let's go to the police. But what were the odds that a goyish court should understand that there's such a thing as a tzaddik, that he doesn't have a private thing. There's not his own Yerusha. That him and everything that belongs to him belongs to Klal Yisrael. So that's a very big thing, and that's really a chiddush from the Baal Shem Tov, and that's something which goes to the core of the connection of a Yid and a tzaddik. Now Yom Yom says that till the Baal Shem Tov came, that there was such a thing, that there was a tzaddik and there were the people. There was a Rosh Hashiva, there was a Talmidim, there was the Rebbe, there was Talmidim, but the Rosh Hashiva given Elend, and the Talmidim sind given Elend. Elend, like good word in Yiddish. Elend means lonely.
Alleen.
Yeah,
Alleen.
it's Mloshen Alein.
Alleen.
Elend. The Rosh Hashiva given Elend, when the Talmidim sind given Elend. Aber der Baal Shem Tov hat aufgetan, and the Tzaddik is nicht Elend, and the Chassidim sind nicht Elend. The Tzaddik is not lonely, and the Chassidim are not lonely. And that is something that even a Goy should be able to understand, that a Tzaddik, that his Sforim and his manuscripts and Kulu, that doesn't belong to him, that it belongs to the Chassidim. It's a Dova Chidush. One of the items that in the Rebbe's library is a Siddur from the Baal Shem Tov. There's a Siddur from the Baal Shem Tov. And the Rebbe had a koch in that Siddur, because the Baal Shem Tov, like when kids, they have a cast, kids love a cast, and they ask all their friends to sign their name on the cast. So,
Wasn't my
Who's
experience.
huh?
That wasn't my experience.
No?
I had 3 of them.
And you didn't get everyone to sign on your cast?
Third one I gave them.
The third one you gave it.
Who said that did ever give? Look, I got this.
No, that wasn't the Baal Shem
Who
Tov.
said it was that?
His own Siddur.
That was his own
His
city?
own Siddur. But the Baal Shem Tov Siddur is sitting there at the Yom. And the Rebbe said, if you look at the Baal Shem Tov Siddur, you see that by Krishma, there is all the Talmidim Baal Shem Tov, many of the Talmidim Shem Tov, signed their name. Obviously, the Baal Shem Tov asked them, they do it on their own. The Rebbe says, what's the pshat? What's the pshat that you find by Krishma Shalamita? You have names of all the Talmidim Baal Shem Tov that they wrote their name in the Siddur. The Rebbe says the pshat is that the Baal Shem Tov wanted to think about them every night when he says Krishma Shalamita. So he asked the Talmidim to sign their name in the Siddur by Krishma, so he could think about them when he's doing Krishma Shalamita. That underscores the word in the Yom Yom, that the Tzaddik is not lonely and the Chassid is not lonely. And that was an uftu of the Baal Shem Tov. That's what he says in Yom Yom. So that's an uftu. That there's no two private things. There is the Rosh Hashiva sitting in his house in the Talmud. They have a relationship in the learning, but then they go home again. The Baal Shem Tov, when he said Krishma Shalamita, which is a avoida, that's an introspective avoida. Yeah, it's a avoida about me. The Baal Shem Tov was thinking about his Talmidim. So that's a pshat that the tzaddik is nishtalent and the chassid is nishtalent. The Rebbe is nishtalent, the chassid is nishtalent. So that's the Indian of Hey Teves. So l'chaim, that the take a Yid, especially in today's day and age, it's very important for a Yid not to feel alone, not to feel lonely. That we should feel that connection, and we should take it. We should that connection should give us a koyach in our avodas Hashem.
So what did a netzach mean?
What did Notzach? First, let's sing the song, and then we'll talk what it means. Dida Notzach. Ay, 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 then I did ay, 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 then ay, 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 la, 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 la. Did not Chaim Brochen. Did not Yeah, 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 yeah. Ay, 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 ay. Na, na, sa, ka, ay, 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 de. Na, na, sa, ka, ay, 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 de. La, 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 ay, 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 na, na, sa, ka, ay, 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 de. Na, na, sa, la, 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 la. Hey. La 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 di da da sa la 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 da di da da sa la 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 hey di da da sa la 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 di da ah ay 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 la 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 hey la 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 di da da sa la 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 di da da sa l'chaim l'chaim l'chaim. Okay, before we talk about it's Samayim Chazal. Several places Chazal say Dida Notzach. Well, we won. It says about the Lulav and the Esrik. When we go out Lulav Esrik, we know the Dida Notzach. Our Didon, Didon, our side.
Before
Yeah,
it's a medrash.
Yeah.
It's medrash.
What's the literal text?
Didon, our team. Did who is their team? Didan is our team.
Nitzach
Notzach.
was victory.
It's victorious.
Really?
Yeah, there's a Zoya really. It's a whole story about one of the Tanoim that there was a friendly ghost. I was always very friendly with him, and he told him that there were there were a whole bunch of other ghosts that were nasty and that they wanted to harm the people in the city. So the Tana asked, "What should we do?" So he gave him a whole eitzah. He said that all the people in the city should go out, and he told them exactly when, and they should bring pots and pans, and they should make a lot of noise, and they should scream "Dida Notzach." Yeah, by the river, and Kachava, and all of a sudden there was the waters were Sakishturim, and the Yidden were screaming and yelling "Dida Notzach," hitting in the pots and the pans. And then all of a sudden it got quiet and they saw a drop of blood go into the river and it got quiet. And that's when they knew that they won. So that's there's always there's that struggle that we have. And there's the Kodesh Satuma. And when you can go out with a strong declaration, it's like the idea of being the Arvev the Sot. We spoke about it once when we learned a few years ago. Shmaka Shakalatai, what do you mean? The Sultan is a fool. He doesn't know all the things that we do to mix him up every year. But when you go out with a tkifis, it's just like, a lawyer, fancy lawyer comes. Alaves Narishkeit, he's a klein kind. Before he puts on a fancy suit, and he puts on a tie, and they get like a shrei, and has a pula. So the Yidden give a geshrei against the Nisyonis, against the Satan, and has a pula. So l'chaim. We're talking about why why a chosed goes to Rebbe. First thing is Achdus Hashem. But there's another nekuda, and that is the nekuda that the Alter Rebbe said about why he went to the Mezritch Magid. The Mezritch, he said that he had a shaila. He wanted to go learn from a Rebbe. He wanted to learn from a Rebbe. He realized that he had that recognition that you have to learn from a Rebbe. Even though that it was brilliant as a child. He wanted to learn from a Rebbe. And so the Alter Rebbe said that he wanted to learn, and he heard that in Vilna you learn how to learn, but in Mezritch you learn how to daven. The Alter Rebbe said that a little bit he knew how to learn, but he had no clue how to daven. Even though we know that Alter Rebbe said that he followed all the Hagas HaShalah and he davened with the Kavanas HaShalah. But davening is the real thing. So the Alter Rebbe felt that learning, you can learn a little bit, but davening, couldn't daven. So therefore, he went to Mezrich. Now, there's a story how he came to Mezrich. He wasn't so impressed, Machatchila. It was Dafke, what had made it was he was going to leave because he said to himself, if there's no Lumdus, doesn't matter how much Sitkas he's going to find. If there's no Lumdus, he's not staying. That was like a simon that he made to himself. And he was there for 3 days and he didn't see any Lumdus. So the third day he was going to leave. And as he was leaving the base medrash, a woman came in with a shiloh, with a chicken. And right away the Maggid started to talk about the shiloh. And as he was about to walk over to the door, the Maggid called him by the name. So, and the Maggid was being mefalful and back and forth and back and forth. And he realized that the Maggid was a gonotzum and benigla the Torah, so he decided to stay. And he became a chosed the Maggid. Upon him, from the story we see that the Alter Rebbe, what was the first thing that he needed Rebbe? Learn Torah, maybe he could do on his own. But to daven, and the Svarim HaKadoshim is brought that the davening, I the view of davening like this. You have a big tree. There's wood, there's bark, there's olim. What's the ikid? The ikid is the fruit. There's a big day, there's a lot in the schedule. What's the main part of the day? The davening. The davening, gossip ikir from the talk. That's the ikir. That's the ikir. That's the ikir inyan of the day. The ikir inyan is the daven. The ikir inyan is the davening. And that's the fruit. The ikir inyan is the davening. There's one of the tzavos rivosh, and we know from the Alter Rebbe in the Tanya, it wasn't that tzavah, just the name of the sefer called tzavos rivosh. But the Alter Rebbe is made in Tanya. It's a rivosh. The nekudis of all the memories are emes. It's from the Baal Shem Tov. The Alter Rebbe says he said it in Yiddish and sometimes translated. So, and the Baal Shem Tov says that there's someone who davens to the Eibishter and he asks the Eibishter for the schus of his Torah, and he doesn't realize that his Torah is full of Avedis. For that reason, when the Tzavor Rivosh was published in Vilna, they made a public burning. Such things. How could he say it? Chazal. So they burnt it. Emes Taka Zakash. Chazal say that the person should learn Torah Shalol Lishma. Shemeter Shalol Lishma. Bo Lishma. Chazal say should learn Shalol Lishma. Meter Shalol Lishma. Bo Lishma. And then we have all these memories from the Baal Shem Tov. We have the story of the Baal Shem Tov. He came to Beis Medrash, and he said that this Beis Medrash is full of Torah. Not as it was all claim. But the pshat is poshet, and the way the Baal Shem Tov sees it is there's maybe many dargis in learning Torah Lishma. There's many dargis learning Torah Lishma. There's what the definition of Pitanya is Lishma. It is not learning Torah Lishma. But the whole purpose of the learning is like to be David and Neibish, like Alter says in Tanya, Perikei, we're learning Achitas, we just had it recently. The whole thing is to be David and Neibish. But someone's learning Torah and in his mind it doesn't begin to compute that the whole Nakud of learning Torah is to be David and Neibish there. And that's what the Baal Shem Tov is talking about. No, so how does it? But it all starts with to be Dovik Nebish. It all starts with davening. So Mamela, the Alter Rebbe said that he has to go learn. So I can learn them, but to daven is no idea. For this reason, that's why Chassidim are going to Rebbe. Chassidim are going to Rebbe so they can learn how to daven. To learn how to daven. So l'chaim, say Teves. and that's what we need to take. We have to take from a tzaddik. We have to take not only Achdus Hashem, we have to take Vitzadamin, Vayidav Damin, L'chaim, L'chaim, L'chaim.
What are you dubbing like?
Ya 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 ay ya 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 ay ya 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 ra ya 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 ra ya 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 ay ya 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 ra ya 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 ay ya 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 ay 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 L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. And my Putin was here for Shabbos Sheva Brachas. So there were also two of his brothers that came. One brother is a shliach in a town near the border of Lebanon. So Friday night he was telling me that he's working on the next book Hamaskir. The family, Rabbi Grona's family, when he passed away, they found in his basement that he had hidden the shoe boxes, notebooks that he wrote himself, diaries, and he was very masudir. No one knew about this. He was very masudir, and he had hid them in shoe boxes in his basement. Baruch Hashem that the kids, looked through it carefully. But that he wrote it himself in a shorthand. So they already published two Svarim, Hamasket Aleph and Beis, and he tells me there's material to go for a long, long time. So he's working on it, and he says very hard. It's very hard work. The Ksav, he's very beautiful handwriting. Not a problem. You can read what he's saying. But it's shorthand. He's writing for himself. So Moshe Zuchmach, he said, I'll give you an example. There's an entry there. I forget the date, and somewhere in the 60s, and it's sometime after Purim, and he says, "Nechnasne lakodesh pnima." The Rebbe asked me, "Nu was sagt Karelitz?" So I told him that he's Molly is Pilus. This is the shayla. Was sagt Karelitz? Amarti loy. Molly is Pilus. Karelitz. So the Rebbe answers him, versteh nicht. Ich habe nur gesagt, was steht in Svarim. He's now.
To ever use that term as up to else.
Yeah. Wow. Was that Karelitz?
Wow.
And the family now they're giving him these.
Why do you think he said that one?
So again, Moshe Zuchmech. He's looking. He take found, and never mind all the boring details. Tell her, he went to Bnei Brak, he gefragt them, and yenem. The kid said, take, there was that the Chaznish had a nephew that has now a son that lives in Lakewood. And he got to that son, and he said, could it be that the Rebbe was talking about your father? Gave him the date and the time. He said, yes, he's talking about my father. Okay, so here's the story. He said, my father came to America. He came to America that year, somewhere in the 60s. I'm just giving it a dugma. I don't remember which year it was. And for a few days, he was staying in Crown Heights. And it was, he went to visit his Choshev Rav Gustman.
Oh, yeah, my friend's Shiva.
So Rav Gustman had that in his yeshiva on Eastern Parkway. So, huh?
He was
Yeah.
Shimon Lubavitch.
He was at Shimon Lubavitch for a while. Then he had his own yeshiva across the street.
Right.
Rav Gustman was a Mordecai Talmud Chochem.
He was the youngest dying by Rav Chaim Ozer.
Exactly. And he wrote his Sforim, his Shurim are Mordecai Kishmak. Baba Kama was Kishmak Shurim. I forget the name of the Sefer right now. Mordecai is. Yeah. It's a Kohen Olam. And Zir Kishmak Shurim.
He was from the youngest Dayanim, the youngest.
Yeah. And he survived, and he was hiding in the forest or something.
Yeah, he's Sabach from Chaim Ozer said he was survived.
Yeah. It was up some mice, yeah. And so he said, my father went to visit him. And they was talking. And then so they were talking about Lubavitch. He told him, so Rav Gustman told him, you should know Lubavitch Rebbe is something, there's no one like him. He's something, Yotzei Makla. Okay. There was 2 days later was Purim, and he was after Sudas Purim, he was just taking a stroll on Kingston Avenue. He says his father, Rav Karelitz, was a nephew from the Chaznish, and he sees the Olam is running, people running. Where are they running? They said they're going to the Fabrengen. So they said, well, come with us. Okay. So he came to the Fabrengen, and the Rabbi Grona had a sharp eye at the Kentep is that. So he called him up, and he gave him a seat behind the Rebbe back. And he asked him what's his name. So he said Karelitz. He didn't say first name, nothing. The Groner understood that so between the Sikhs, he went over to the Rebbe and he told him that the Chaznish, his nephew, was sitting right behind you. The Rebbe right away turned around and he said, Gibi be the mishpacha, mekendo shikin the svarim. The Rebbe wants that they should send the svarim as the publisher, the svarim the Chaznish. They should send to him. Okay. So now he understands what's going on. So apparently, a day or 2 days after Purim, the Rebbe asked Rabbi Groner, did anyone get a chance to catch up with Rav Karelitz? What was his impression of the Fabrengen? The Rebbe wanted to hear what was this was Weiser Gven Achoshev Yid and Gven Talmud Chochem, and the Rebbe wanted to know what his impressions was from the Fabrengen. So apparently, Rabbi Groner asked him, or someone asked him, what was your impression of Fabrengen? And he must have said So he went back to the Rebbe, said that so the Rebbe answered, I don't see what the Gewalt was. Anyway, that was the one. He's just describing to me how difficult it is. One line. So long. Yeah. To be mefanech, to figure out what happened. There's a dvar chidush in the Torah from the Rebbe, which is unique. There's a sachti. There's a lot of nekudas in the Rebbe's Torah. Every Rosh Yeshiva, or there were many Gdolei Yisrael that brought something a new mahalach of how to learn Gemara, mahalach. Mashal, the Rebbe has this mahalach and learning Pshutei Shel Mikra, which is a dvar chidush. You have maybe on Rashi, maybe Liguz me 400 meforshim or 300 meforshim, and I mean the big meforshim Rashi, you have 20, 30 big meforshim. Gdolei Yisrael, the Rebbe Mizrachi, the Maral Meprag, v'chulu. And the Rebbe came up with a certain, Vimalen, Pshutei Shel Mikra aliba de Rashi. For example, the last Rashi Zichar we learned, which is about with the whole conversation that who told Rashi that he had a whole conversation with Binyamin, that he said, "Oh, you have 10 sons. What are their names?" He told him all the names. Yeah, who told Rashi? It's a medrash Chazal. Like in the Isa, the Maseches Soita. But the Rebbe has a whole mamash mahala pshutta shemikra that a little kid would ask his Rebbe, pick up his hand, that how come he's eventnished, he's a halzer stark, and mitten amol, and he gives him a bracha, like give me a chon chabani, and all of a sudden he can sich is about to melt. Something must have happened. So the targets like a modern soita. But that's why anyway, we have always that there's always a moedic mahalach of how to see shutta shel mikra. Okay, very nice. And it's very gishmak. And it's a chidush davar how to learn shutta shel mikra and how to learn. And but I would say that the one chidush that the Rebbe had, which is a davar chidush, is that every single thing, if it's the Teves sugya in Rishonim in the three Babas, or it's something Chumash and Rashi, there's always a lesson in Avodas Hashem. Doesn't matter what. Always a lesson in Avodas Hashem. Exactly. Like I said that someone did a search. He said that the one phrase that the Rebbe said most that is recorded is Torah Maloshen Eira. Torah Maloshen Eira. And the Rebbe always brought the Rambam, that the Torah is liyashir ades, liyashir amaisim. Every single, see it, every chiddush, or chiddush, nishta chiddush. Chiddush, nishta chiddush. Sometimes when you hear the Rebbe speak, you didn't hear so much the chiddush. Agam, or chiddushim too. Sometimes you see the Rebbe is talking and he's giving, he's telling of psukim and Moreh Chazal. Naniach, you don't see chiddush. But right away, one thing, it doesn't matter if it's verstanden la chiddush, nicht verstanden la chiddush. Right away, you hear, but in Yiddish, is so. What's the lesson of Avodas Hashem? What's coming out of what's the hira? What's the hira? What can we learn in a oifen in Avodas Hashem that could be miyasher the levovis? And that's a davar chidush. That the Rebbe showed that in everything that we learn in Torah. Why? Because l'chayr it's a Torah. If the whole thing of Torah is in dveikus and the meibishin, so Mamela has to be as a yid for left shtickle Torah right away. There's a hira which helps in the dveikus to meibishin. So that's a dover. That's a dover that we see very clear in the Rebbe's Torahs. And that's the way we should learn Torah. That from everything we learn, we should take our hira. So l'chaim. L'chaim, 1 second. L'chaim. Maybe shall help from Taki. All the three nakudas that we spoke about. Sai in the first nakuda from the Zman Abal Shem Tov, that the Yid comes to a tzaddik to zen Achdus Hashem, and there's no question. We watch videos from the Rebbe. We go to oil. That this is mechazik the union of Achdus Hashem, and Sai second nakuda, which is like the Alter Rebbe said, he went to the Mazitcha Magid. He went to Mazitcha Magid. Why? To learn how to daven. The Iker Inyan in life is the davening. The davening is the plea, because the davening is what emphasizes the dveikus samebishin. And the third nakuda is that everything we learn, the way we're connected to the Rebbe is that everything we learn will take our own avodas Hashem. Rebbe shall help from Taka. That all these three nekudas should come down and avoid the bepoil. That Saisal Zachoplegim on Zachtas Hashem, and Simon zal kennen davenen mit Gishmak, and Simon zal kennen learn the Torah nicht nur mit Gishmak, but we should find the hero and avoid this Hashem in every nekuda that we learn. L'chaim. Hey Mosai Kasima, Lech Sheyafut Zumanesafut. Ja, in Why not?
The coil, knock.
Sehr gut, sehr gut.
Fluffy stuff.
Komm, lernen. Gib uns zu verstehen. Komm, komm.
Can't slow down, but
Hey, was? Kasim.
my still
Schön. Was Kasim. Schön. Also, das sein. L'chaim. Okay, we'll leave off now. The Mitzvah Shem will continue verbringen Shabbos by day, and the Mitzvah Shem will continue further to verbring Motzah Shabbos. The Mitzvah Shem will have a Malcolm house 9 o'clock.
It's his birthday?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bez Hashem Yisborach.
Was
I
I
hope 9 o'clock. I hope everyone can come.
through the snow?
It's gonna be milky.
The snow is time. White. So.
There's a new book
Sometimes
came from
actually-
Eli2. I don't know who it is, Eli2.
His father knew. His father was
No.
Choshemirov. No.
So he, the Rebbe has a mehalach,
Hadronim, yeah.
yeah, and 69 places from the Shas, this mehalach, and so I can bring all the 69.
There's
You have to know the whole Shas, every mehalach. It's a Geonis to
Yeah. Choshemirov. L'chaim. No, so you bought already new Svarim?
Okay.
L'chaim. Daf Kefen Svarim. They never wanted. Hey, Teves. Daf Kefen Svarim, and it should sit on the
Nice,
desk.
well, it's warm. You have never chachameh.
Oh, you see? Very good. L'chaim.
Yeah, Chazan, no?
How did he get the swan back from the plane? Or something from the plane?
Remember, all this one came back.
Was listen to the clause. Everything came back 45. The whole thing went over there. He said,